Considering home security? Consider this. For 140 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. The yard sign isn't just a sign, it's a line in the sand. It's no wonder 5 times more people choose ADT to protect their homes. Visit ADT.com to learn more. For license information and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Mike Golic Jr. in here with us a little later this morning. He and Golic and Trey Wingo and maybe Damian Woody will be taking part in the Carolina Reaper Pepper Challenge. I don't know for sure. Your wife was tweeting with D. Wood, getting him in on this, and so he may be doing it. I'm not 100% sure.
As well?
She seems to be.
Wow.
Mom likes throwing herself in the middle of bets that work out well for other people.
Well, I was going to say, that don't affect her at all. Last I checked, I was the one naked and oiled up with you taking pictures of me. She didn't get involved in that. And all of a sudden, Damian's eating a chip and she's at home laughing.
I think he's going to do it. I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out when he gets here. You guys have to sign a waiver, which we'll get to as well. Quickly on some of the Twitter here, Jeff tweets at us, how about Stugotz as the next commissioner of the NFL? What could possibly go wrong? If you're going to give a bobblehead today, that might be the one.
You're not kidding. That's
Stu will join us shortly, and all the Twitter comes through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. If your football obsession has strained a relationship, you need 1-800-Flowers.com. For a limited time, 1-800-Flowers is offering up to 40% off best-selling bouquets and gifts perfect for birthdays and anniversaries. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. All right, before Stugotz, I just want to preview 3 of these huge college games quickly. Let's finish up on Oklahoma TCU. Golic Jr., you strongly like Oklahoma. I can give you the number on that game, by the way. Vegas has Oklahoma minus 6.5. Our football power index makes Oklahoma a 5-point favorite. So you would give 6.5 points?
Yeah.
Mikey?
Oh, yeah.
I think I would as well. Listen, they came in as ranked one of the best offensive lines in the country, so it's certainly
they can't stop anybody.
Going to be on the right. They're giving up 27 points a game. As I mentioned, TCU just under 13 points, or just under 14 points. Baker Mayfield is having himself a year again. Going to be in the top 4 again, if not winning the Heisman this time around. They have some weapons on that offense. Again, I look at the defenses. Oklahoma gives up a lot of points. We just saw it last week. What can Kenny Hill do? For the offense for TCU, can he keep scoring a lot on an Oklahoma defense?
So which side do you?
I'm going to Oklahoma.
I'm
giving the points.
Point.
Yes.
And so you are as well. Okay.
Because everybody keeps saying, why ain't anybody giving any love to TCU? Well, TCU, it's your chance. This is your chance to shut everybody up and say, we are going to the party by winning this game, and then you carry on from there.
Georgia-Auburn this week. Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite in Vegas. Our FPI makes Auburn the slimmest of favorites. Auburn, at home, the slimmest of favorites. And Herbie said on the air this week he thinks there's a good chance. With us, he said, a good chance that Auburn beats Georgia. Mikey, do you think there is?
I don't, just because I think Georgia saw the best rushing attack they're going to see this season. Like Auburn, rush structure-wise, to me, just because the way that offense operates, end up being a lot like Notre Dame's, just a lesser version. Like the offensive line's not quite as good. Cameron Petway and the running back stable they've got there, Kerryon Johnson and company, are good backs. They're solid backs, and having Jared Stidham in that rotation as well as a quarterback who can move helps, but I just think they already saw the best of that. They did very well. I think, gave up something like 55 yards rushing to Notre Dame when they played them in South Bend. I think they're ready for this moment, and I think Jake Fromm is ready for this moment.
Yeah, you mentioned Kenyon Johnson. Yes, 15 rushing touchdowns this year. So I agree. They're a good running team. I don't think they're as good a running team as Notre Dame, and Georgia did a real nice job of shutting down that running game in Fromm's first start. I like Georgia in this. I like the two-headed monster running. I think Fromm's got some good experience throughout the season, even though he's just a freshman. They're not asking him, and that what Herbie brought up, and I've brought up as well, and I agree. If Fromm is asked to win the game with his arm, then we'll see what kind of a test that's going to be, but I don't know if he's going to be.
I want to throw one game into the mix that is not one of the glamour games this weekend, though it does involve one of the college football playoff teams. When the season began, we would have said that Clemson-Florida State this weekend was going to be the biggest game.
Yep.
And obviously it isn't. Florida State's season has spiraled completely out of control. But beware the team that's playing at Super Bowl. For Florida State, and there's a bunch of kids on that team that are going to wind up in the NFL, and this is their Super Bowl. They can't accomplish anything they intended to this season, but they can knock off Clemson, their arch rival. So I'm always wary of a team like that. Do you give Florida State, with literally everything in the world to play for this week, because other than that, I mean, they're 3-5, do you give Florida State any chance?
I don't, just because Clemson still has a ton to play for. I mean, this is a team that already with one loss on his resume, kind of like the other year where they end up going on to the national title, understands that now it's playoff every week. It's a team that already got their eyes watered a little bit and is going to come in ready to go because of that, and because of that understanding that personnel-wise, you're going to turn on the tape during the week, kind of to the point I brought up. Those guys, when they watch the tape, they're not going to see a Florida State team that's lost more games than we expected. They're going to see a Florida State team, especially on defense, full of stud NFL prospects that they know they're going to have their hands full with all day.
I almost would be worried more if Clemson were undefeated, knowing they could maybe give up one loss. They're at their end, right? They can't lose two.
Correct.
Not going to lose two and be in. So I don't think it's going to happen. It's in Clemson as well. I think it's one of those where I agree with you about Florida State. They're going to come out and try and make it their Super Bowl, but if it starts to get away from them, I think you'll see the wind come out of the sails.
And then let's circle it back to Notre Dame in Miami. Again, that's where game day will be this weekend. If you're in that area, they'll be live in Coral Gables. And then, of course, ABC Saturday night primetime has the game. Notre Dame in Miami. Vegas has the Irish a 3.5-point favorite. Our Power Index makes Notre Dame a 4-point favorite. We all know what they like to do. They want to run the football against you. We saw Miami with a very impressive win last week against Virginia Tech. Junior, give me a breakdown on the game.
This one, I mean, I'm always selfishly going to whittle it down to the finest point, which is inside the trenches, and that's where the best battle is going to be. Miami defensively has a defensive front seven full of pro prospects.
Sure do.
Full of that young linebacking core that we talked about coming of age during last season that is going to have their hands full against Notre Dame's front seven, because I was concerned that Notre Dame against USC was fool's gold. I felt a lot better when I saw them go against that NC State defense that is full of pro prospects on the D-line, and not just beat them, but bloody their nose the way that they did in that one. That was a statement performance from that group up front. Now, in Notre Dame, you've got to hope that Josh Adams is 100% healthy coming off that Wake Forest game where we didn't see him for the lion's share of the second half because he was a little nicked up, because they were ahead and didn't have to play, and saw this on the horizon. Brandon Wimbush, though, Wake Forest is a big game for him. A lot more passing options and attacks in a game that was a little slick, a little wet, and where he showed well for himself, because Miami on the other side is going to try and test them. They're going to run stretch zones. Rozier in that passing game are potent. They've got good receivers, but they give the ball away a lot. 4 turnovers a game forced by their defense is masking a lot of problems lately on that offense, which is them giving the ball to the other team, and no one is as good at points off turnovers in the NCAA right now as Notre Dame.
Yeah, and you saw that in that Michigan State game, when they turned 3 turnovers into 21 points. I agree. I'm with you. The thing that worries me is that Georgia defense, they got the best of Notre Dame's offense because of speed. And Miami has some speed on their defense in that front seven. But to Mike's point, I agree. North Carolina State, I think, was 6th in the country against the rush, and Notre Dame ran all over them. Miami's 66. Now, you can't just go by numbers because these are athletic players on Miami's defense. Front seven, speed, linebackers are young, and they fly around. So, but I think Notre Dame, when you run that well, you just wear down a team. So I don't think it's going to get to the point where Brandon Wimbush is going to have to throw them back into the game, because that's the one element we just haven't seen yet. He's been able to throw, save for Georgia, with the lead, and Georgia wasn't a high-scoring game on either side at 20-19. So I think Notre Dame will take care of business on the offensive side, control the ball. Defensively, they're schematically playing so much better than they did a year ago.
All right, and as many of you who follow the show or follow the Dan Le Batard show know, Golic has a lot at stake in this game. And his wager with Dan Le Batard, the loser has to massage Stugotz. Let's go right to the source. Stugotz joins us live from South Florida this morning on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Stu, are you loosening up? Are you ready for this massage next week? Because you can't lose no matter what happens here.
No, I can't lose. Listen, I'm the center of attention. We all know that I love that. This is fun. It's a spa day for me. I want a 90-minute Swedish massage. I'm hoping that Miami wins because I want those big mitts, those big paws of Mike Golic. In fact, I want a Golic massage. I want Junior in on this as well because I don't have any stakes with Mike Golic Jr., and we do a show every Sunday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio. I want an entire Golic massage. I want those hands, all 4 of those hands on my glutes.
That's fine, but Stugotz, the minute Notre Dame wins, I don't need anything from you because I saw last night the only person on your show staff that actually cares and believes in this Miami team is your producer, Mike Ryan. So I'm looking for that. When Notre Dame wins, get Mike Ryan a ticket up to Bristol and have him come massage my buns because he's got it coming. He's talking a lot of gas right now.
All right, I will get that back going if you want. I mean, listen, Mike is delusional. He's a fan. He's a fanatic. He loves the University of Miami. He's been waiting for this game. We all have been for a decade. But Mike has all 7 of the guys on Miami's defensive line and their 3 linebackers. He thinks they're all going to the pros, playing in the NFL, and that might be true. But, Golic, I will get that done for you if you want. If you want to have some sort of bet, because Mike Ryan strong-arms me into bets all the time, and I will absolutely do the same. I will repay him right now. So if you want to make that bet with Mike Ryan, we can get that done right now. I will speak on his behalf and get that done right now. My big concern is, Golic, how did we allow this? I'm talking to the senior here. How did we allow this to happen? Where Greeny is sitting in the middle of all of this. He has put this entire thing together based off a tweet from one of your listeners, and Greeny has nothing at stake. He has 0 at stake here. That's what bothers me about this entire thing. Mike, there are stakes attached to this for you. Golic Jr., there are stakes attached to this for you. There are certainly stakes attached for me. And now Dan Le Batard. Where's Greeny in all this? What is Greeny doing while all this is going on?
This just goes to demonstrate the enormous power that I wield. So I make an offhand comment. Right. This the first time this ever happened, years and years and years ago. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game, just follow me with this. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game played in Milwaukee, ended in a tie. The world acted as though this was some travesty. I came on the next morning right here on Mike and Mike, and I said, guys, what do you care? You wouldn't have cared if the American League won. You wouldn't have cared if the National League won. If you really want to make a big deal out of this, give home field advantage into the World Series that leads to the league that wins the All-Star game. The next thing I knew, They did it. I was making an offhand joking remark, and the next thing I knew, it actually happened. So this week, fast forward, 15 years later, I get a tweet, the loser should have to massage Stugotz. I just read it aloud. I laughed.
It's horrible where it's gone.
The next thing I know, it happened, and I still don't even know how it happened.
It's horrible where it's gone. And by the way, Stugotz, you don't have a stake in this. You're getting massaged either way. What do you care? You're a winner in all this.
You win either way.
I mean, I'm going to be mostly naked on TV. There is that. You guys are kind of leaving that part of it out. Like, I'm going to be mostly naked on national TV. Like that, there is something attached to me.
Here's the thing. Okay, so when people have asked me this, I made this point to Golic, and I think that you are the kind of person who will acknowledge this. You live for this. This is exactly your lot in life. Your lot in life, and you love it, is to be the one who gets massaged by the loser of the bet, right? That's perfect for you. This is heads I win, tails you lose for Stugotz, because either way, you get to be the massagee as opposed to the massager. I will throw back at you that you don't want me to be part of the stakes. You like being part of this.
I see Mike Golic Jr. Smiling there because he knows me so well. Greeny, I think you said yesterday this is my lot in life, and you nailed it with that. Yes, this is my lot in life. This is where life is taking me. This is where my professional career is taking me. Where yes, I am. You don't need to ask me if I want to be a part of this. You know I want to be a part of this because yes, I like the attention, and yes, I'm the big winner here. Either way, I'm walking out of this thing with a spa day, so I'm happy.
You mentioned that Stugotz might have to be kind of nude on air, and since Stugotz is fashions himself a bizarro world Mike Greenberg, I feel like we need to get Greeny some skin in this game, so I don't know if we can work it out with whatever the over-under is for this game or anything like that. But if we get to a certain point, I want the Greenberg corollary where if Greeny's portion of this loses, Greeny has to be tastefully nude, maybe in some photo calendar shoot or something like that. Let's get Greeny a little naked on air if Stugotz has to be a little naked on air.
There's literally zero chance of that. I just threw this thing out here as a joke, and it took hold. I planted something, and it grew. I have no stake in it. I'm going to sit back and watch this game as relaxed as can be.
This is worse.
What do you think of Le Batard's suggestion? Well, hold on. This is the worst thing ever for you, Golic. I feel bad for you. I really do. And I don't want Le Batard's hands anywhere near me. So, Golic, I need your hands. I'm sorry to say that. I know that sounds creepy, but I need you to be the one giving me the massage. I do not want Dan Le Batard putting his hands all over my glutes, all over my body. I don't want it. So, Golic, it's got to be you. But, Mike, how do you feel about this? Because I think Dan made a very fair suggestion the other day on the air. If Miami wins, which means Golic has lost. Golic, you have to massage Mike Greenberg. Greeny, it's a spa day. You should be happy with that.
I'm not getting massaged. I'm not getting
What do you mean you're not getting?
It's all the same.
Who doesn't like a massage?
I'm telling you right now, under no circumstances in our final week after 18 years am I letting Golic massage me.
What a way to go out,
no
huh?
Chance of that. I've lost all the wagers I could possibly lose. You guys took this on yourself. There was no reason for this. There was you allowed this to happen.
Yeah,
no, Mike, you Greeny, you strong-armed everyone into this, and you just lobbed my name into it without even consulting me, without asking me. But Greeny, you won't get a massage. I mean, you allowed a cow to poop on you, but you won't let Golic put his hands on you?
Oh, I'll get a massage under the right circumstances, but I can tell you right now, the man sitting to my left is by no means that. Let's actually talk about this game, or at least let's talk about.
I wanted that. That's where I wanted to go.
Of the game.
I wanted to talk about Miami and the U. I mean, are we expecting? A, does everybody think they're back? And B, are we expecting, because we've seen it in their heyday, all the alumni that come back and stand on the sidelines? Do you think they're back to where you're going to see this Saturday night?
Listen, there are still questions as far as I'm concerned as to whether they are back, because being back for the University of Miami is not just making it to the ACC championship game. It is making it to the national championship game and winning the national championship game, and then doing it again the next year, and then doing it again the next year. That's Miami being back. That's what it was like in the mid-'80s, late 80s, into the early 90s. That's what it was like in the early 2000s. So I think even with the win last weekend at home against Virginia Tech, I think there are still questions. And then on the other side of that, Mike, I think Miami really respects, the fans do, the team does, I know we do, just how good Notre Dame is. That offensive line might be the best offensive line in the country. I think this game will get down to the offensive line versus the defensive line for the University of Miami. Will that Notre Dame offensive line wear them down? Will Notre Dame be able to run the ball? Will Notre Dame have to come from behind, something they really haven't done on the road with a young quarterback? Well, an inexperienced quarterback, I should say. So, but as far as the University of Miami being back, it feels good, right? We have a big game, an undefeated Miami team against the one-loss Notre Dame game at home. It feels, it's something that brings you back to kind of your childhood for all of us, for me, for you, Mike Golic, for you, Greeny. This was a big rivalry when we were growing up. It feels like they're back. There's still some questions here. So, but you're going to have all the alumni there. Michael Irvin was on the show yesterday. He delivered a great pregame speech for us. It was awesome. We had Bryant McKinney and Ed Reed coming in today. Ed Reed's going to be on the sidelines there for this Miami game. So it's going to be a lot of fun. College football needs this. It's great. I'm glad it's back. It's Miami and it's Notre Dame, and it's going to be a fun week. But, Mike, when Miami's back, it means Miami is making it to national championship games and winning national championships, multiple years. Just getting to an ACC championship game is not enough for me, at least, to say the Canes are back. I do want to ask you a question, Mike, because I think this is interesting. What if Miami loses this game to Notre Dame? What if they lose this game to Notre Dame, and it's a close game? It's a 3-point game. It's a 4-point game. They lose the game, though. Then go on to the ACC championship game, and they beat Clemson. Does a one-loss Miami team get into the Final Four?
Well, I think it's going to have to go to decide what else happens. Is Wisconsin undefeated? Because we keep wondering if a big Power 5 undefeated gets left out. How good the winner of Oklahoma TCU, how big is that win, and how good do they run the rest of their table as well? I think they'll have an argument, but I think a lot will have to go into the SEC title game. Is that a close game where we keep thinking maybe the loser of that game could be in the Final Four, Mike?
Yeah, you win here, you control your own fate. You lose, you don't. You have a chance still going forward, but you just don't control anything of what happens.
I'm just writing down the things that would have to happen in that case. The Alabama-Georgia, first and foremost, the Alabama-Georgia game would have to be, if they both get there unbeaten, and Auburn will have something to say about that twice.
Yeah.
But if they both get there unbeaten, I think that game would have to be one-sided.
Yeah, you would need only one SEC team to get in to give Miami still that chance.
I think they take a one-loss. Although, you know what, let me stop. Let me stop and not say that. Because they would have to be doing something that they themselves know is unprecedented and unusual, and that is taking two teams from one conference into this. Now, I know there's only 3 years of historical precedent that we're dealing in here, but they'd have to be taking two teams from one conference, which they might be a little bit hesitant to do. They might. But Notre Dame gets in for sure under the scenario that Stugotz just painted, unless they wind up losing to Stanford, or is it Navy?
Navy and Stanford, yeah.
So let's just say, for the sake of argument, they wind up winning out. And then you've got the Big Ten and you got the Big 12. I think, Mikey, you said it right. I think the winner of the Miami-Clemson game at that point still need, well, especially if it's Miami, would definitely need help under those circumstances. Does Clemson not need help? If Clemson wins out, are they a lock, Mike Golic Jr.?
Yeah, no, they're a lock.
I think they're in.
They're a lock. They stay in no matter what happens.
I think so.
They'll be in. That loss will be early enough. Stugotz, you mentioned the Miami players that you've had on this week. You said Michael Irvin yesterday, Ed Reed, and Brian McKinney. Of all the Miami alumni that you think you guys have talked to that are going to be back for this game, which one do you think would have the best shot if we put them on the field this weekend of actually still being able to do it?
Oh, wow, that's funny. That's a good question. Probably Ed Reed, right? He's not that far removed from playing in the NFL. He's maybe the greatest safety of all time in the NFL. I know he's in great shape. I'm looking forward to seeing him today. He's going to be in studio with us at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I would say, wow, that's a great question, Mike. Maybe Ed Reed or... Because I feel like Ray Lewis can, he could sum it up for one day. Ray Lewis can go play a football game today and still give you 15 tackles and maybe a sack or something like that. So I'm going to say Ray Lewis or Ed Reed, guys who aren't too far removed from the NFL. Michael Irvin's in great shape, but I think Michael Irvin's 51 at this stage. So I'm not going to go Irvin there. I'm going to go with Ed Reed.
All right, Stugotz again today and every day, coast to coast, the Dan Le Batard Show, and looking forward to Notre Dame Miami this weekend with everything in the world at stake.
Yep. Listen, I have a question for Golic because Miami had 8 wins last year. I think Notre Dame had 4. There is nothing worse than than cocky, condescending Brian Kelly. The only thing that's worse than that is when he has a winning team behind him, which he does right now. But is Notre Dame back, Mike? Because you asked me if Miami's back, and I would ask you, is Notre Dame back? I think Miami is closer to being back or was last year, and now carrying it forward this year than Notre Dame is. Is Notre Dame back? Are they back, Mike?
Well, I mean, you get – let's see if you get a quarterback. You'll have a quarterback in Brandon Wimbush that'll come back next year, and you'll actually have a back-to-back quarterbacks, the same quarterback 2 years in a row. You're going to lose the left half of that offensive line, which is a couple of studs who are going to be first-round draft picks. I don't know how much, Mike, they lose on defense as well, but that offensive line will take a little bit of a hit.
It will, but back again, the same standard for back is at both places. You got to win a national title at one of those spots to really bring this thing back to the level people are going to accept. But I don't think Notre Dame really left as much as people want to make out last year. They were in the Fiesta Bowl 2 years ago before that 4-8 season. As far as I'm concerned, that 4-8 year is sort of the blip. It had been steadily trending up from the time BK got there through the national title appearance year, through the Fiesta Bowl year like that, and then back to where they are now. At some point, you got to look at that 4-8 and say that's kind of an anomaly compared to where they've been.
All right, I got to run. Stugotz, we're looking forward to it later today. Enjoy the weekend, and obviously we'll see what happens next week with the massage. We are Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Schefter is on his way in. We'll give Mikey a little bit of a break here for a while, but he'll be back because he's doing the Carolina Reaper Pepper Challenge later, and maybe Damian Woody as well. So don't miss it. We've seen what it looked like on a lot of other faces. I can't wait to see these.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious, delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Kyrie Irving, we just said it as we were watching the video on TV here on ESPN2. Somewhere there is someone who is the best in the world at everything. Kyrie Irving is the best in the world at that.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous what he does.
I mean, the handles are just unreal. Left hand. Celtics won again. They've won 10 straight. They have the best record in the league. They beat the Lakers by 11. Warriors beat the Timberwolves by 24 points, and they did it without Kevin Durant last night. Golden State has actually won 14 straight games that he has missed. And we've been talking a lot this morning, and will again now, about Jerry Jones threatening to sue the National Football League over Roger Goodell's contract extension. SportsCenter with Mike and Mike, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club.
They have everything you need for your hair, face, skin, shower. They have you covered head to toe. And they deliver it to you just like they do their razors. Give the club a try today. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Mike.
Okay, Adam Schefter is here, our NFL insider extraordinaire. Schefter, he was one of many who have taped a very nice message to us the other day. And one of the things we played it the other day, and one of the things I liked about it was that you reminded the world, and I like to take credit for things, but I like other people to do it. I'm the one, we are the ones, but I think it was me in particular who named you Schefter.
Well, it was amazing because I came on Mike and Mike for the very first time in August of 2009. And right away, I don't know what made Greeny say this, but he goes, we need to give you a nickname. I'm like, okay. And he goes, how about Schefty? And I go, okay. And the next thing I know, I'm walking around the halls of Bristol, and people I've never seen in my life are, hey, Schefty, hey, Schefty, hey, Schefty. And if I had known that the nickname that Greeny would bestow upon me that day would have that much permanence, I would have given it some thought. It was just very nonchalant. Okay, that's the nickname then. And all of a sudden, that nickname stuck.
I'm sure there are people that actually think that's your last name and not Schefter. They just think it's Schefty.
You know, I've had a lot of nicknames over time, and that was not one that I've ever had. It was just given to me on a whim.
Yeah.
And to this day, people now call me that.
So I feel very proud of that, among other things. Okay, so having said that, but thank you for the nice message. All right, let's get down to business here.
Wait, by the way, Will, before we get down to business.
Yeah.
So have you gotten all these messages? Like, what is there one that really warmed your hearts or stayed with you? One that really impacted you?
Well, I'm told there are a lot more to come, but the one I was excited that Tiger Woods
did one.
Wow.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I like golf, and so that was and he's Tiger.
That's pretty nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then Schefty was number 2. I mean, it was
okay,
Tiger, and then it was Schefty.
I understand that.
Yeah, and whoever is sitting there that did it, they'll always be number 2. It'd be Tiger and then Herm.
Well, we'll check back next week
Yeah.
after you see even more messages.
Exactly.
And we'll see who else shows up on that list.
All right, in the meantime.
Yes.
We got Jerry Jones. We got Roger Goodell. We got Jones versus a bunch of other owners.
Yeah.
What? I'm giving you the floor. What the heck is going on here?
Well, first of all, it's been going on all year long. And I think Jerry wants to take control of the league. I think that he does not want to see Roger Goodell empowered. And what this has really done is it's created a showdown between Roger Goodell and Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones and the compensation committee. And Jerry Jones is almost being a maverick on this, leading the charge to try to get Goodell out of there or reduce his salary or have some type of effect. And I was talking with Mort yesterday, and Mort pointed out, and this is exactly right, Jerry Jones's role model was Al Davis. And Al Davis loved to go after the league. And Al Davis didn't like it when the power of the league resided in the league office or with the commissioner. He didn't believe it should be that way. And Jerry Jones now believes the exact same thing. He believes that the owners, and maybe even him, should be controlling this league, not Roger Goodell. And the league has done any number of things that I think have upset and bothered and irked him to the point now where he's taking matters into his own hand. And I think the compensation committee is going to go ahead and try to get this deal done, as it has been trying to do all along. And I think it's going to get done, the extension for Roger Goodell. And I think Jerry Jones is not going to be happy about that extension. And Jerry Jones is going to go fight it. Under what grounds, I don't know, but he's going to.
I completely agree with you. I have no idea what this lawsuit thing is about, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere or has any merit at all. But here's the thing. Jerry Jones is like that guy who is making a statement and then saying, who's with me? Let's go. Because you need 24 owners to vote on this thing if you don't want Roger Goodell in there anymore. How many owners does he have on his side?
I don't believe he has the number required right now to get Roger Goodell out of there. And I don't think he will get the requisite support that he would need to have Goodell evicted, essentially.
Yeah.
But there are some people who do support him. There's nobody that feels as strongly about it as Jerry Jones does. He's leading the charge here. Let's make no mistake about it. But he does have some support, just I don't think enough. And again, the compensation committee was empowered to get this deal done. The other people can say, we don't want this deal. Jerry Jones can say, I don't think Roger Goodell is the right man for the job. And it doesn't matter. If Arthur Blank, leading that committee, says, Roger Goodell, here's your 5-year extension, that's it. Game over.
So they have the power. They
have
doesn't
that
need
power.
to be this vote we're talking about.
Correct.
That committee has the power.
They can
Here's
extend Goodell. They've been given that power.
Okay.
And so that's why, to me, it's a lot about power here, right? They have that power. Jerry Jones as the influential guy that he is, has his power.
Right.
Roger Goodell has his power, and let's see who's the most powerful people in the room here.
So let's take the next step.
Yeah.
Greeny and I agree as well, just like you. Roger Goodell is going to get the extension. So, in essence, Jerry Jones is going to lose this fight that he is now screaming from the mountaintops about. So, if that happens, if it goes like we think, then what happens? Now they got to go back to just being owners with this thing put aside now. What happens next?
Look, David Boies is a lot smarter with the law than I am. I don't know what steps he has and what steps he can undertake, but I can tell you this, that Jerry Jones is not going quietly into the night. He's not just going to accept this. Now, I don't know what recourse he has and what he can do and what his attorney can do, but I don't think they're wasting their own time for the fun of it. They feel like they have grounds to challenge this in some way. I don't know what that is. I'll be curious, but it's creating a fuss, and it's been the kind of season that this whole year has been. Like, people going at it, fights on the field, fights off the field, battles, legal battles. Everything's about lawyers, lawyering up. Yeah. The anthem, it's just been a very strange deal. You know what? And the whole thing is just having a negative impact on the NFL. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the sport. It's turned off a lot of people, and the league has nobody but itself to blame.
Mike Schefter is in the room. I think we all agree on that. But let's go then to what we were saying a moment ago. You know Goodell probably even better than we do, and we know him reasonably well. But I don't know him well enough to know the answer to this question. What is the point at which he might say, I've made hundreds of millions of dollars, which by anyone's standard is enough to live on for the rest of your life and everything else. What do I need this for? Do I want to sign a contract extension? And when I know that, A, one of the most powerful guys in the room has tried to stage a coup, B, he has the support of some of the other owners. We don't know exactly how many, but some. And C, I'm staring at a lot more headaches coming up. This kneeling controversy isn't going away anytime soon. The CTE issue isn't going away anytime soon. The dip in television ratings is a major problem and concern, and who knows where it's coming from, and clearly they don't know exactly what to do about it. Where is the point at which you could realistically see him saying, I don't need this anymore?
There have been people that have asked that question, and it's not all of a sudden now that Jerry Jones is challenging him. I've been hearing that for the last couple of months, really since these questions first began to be raised. And I haven't gotten any indication or answer that this is the time that Roger would step away. Look, he has never done anything else but work in the NFL. Now, there have been people who have suggested in the past they could see him going into politics and making a run. I don't know whether that's in Washington, representing the state of New York.
His father was a senator, for
correct.
those who don't know, yeah.
And there were people who thought that he could go that route. And look, he's made enough money that he could do whatever he wants, and he doesn't need this. But I don't know. It's a great question. People have wondered it. I don't have the answer to explain it to you right now. You know, listen, he'll probably be on this radio show before, well, you guys won't even be here, so that's a moot point. I'll tell it to you and Trey.
Yeah, there you go.
He may. I mean, so do you think that won't even come to? See, I'm thinking that we got one more week. Like something's got to happen in this week, right? I mean, this thing. Jerry Jones is threatening something by Friday, which is tomorrow. Like something's got to happen this week.
I think we're at a critical juncture. I think the compensation committee is going to push through this deal. I think it's just going to push through the deal.
And is that soon. A big sticking it to Jerry? They're just basically saying, because these are all billionaires. This is listen, we all know what contest
it's partly
this is.
Sticking it to Jerry, but it's partly doing exactly what that committee has set out to do all along. And it's been delayed and derailed in large part because of Jerry's contributions to being an ad hoc member on that committee, which he was never appointed to be, but basically
now he's not an ad hoc member
now
anymore.
He stepped back from that. Again, Jerry does what he wants to do.
Yeah. But the majority of the owners, you think, still are firmly behind Goodell, regardless
I'm not going to say
of
firmly. Okay, I think he's got firm support from the people he needs it from. But I cannot tell you that he's got firm support across the board from a majority of the owners.
I bet it's like we're better off with this, and then instead of trying to change to something
Who's the
new.
Successor, by the way?
Right,
Let's just say we're getting rid of Roger Goodell.
We were talking about that
out
this morning. Yeah, I don't know.
There's nobody that you could think of. I've heard a couple of names bandied about.
I threw out the name Amy Trask.
Amy Trask. And hi.
Exactly, yeah. That's what she would tweet, yes.
Listen, I love Amy. She's great. I have
someone with a background in the sport, a background in the business of the sport.
I think it's going to be an in-house person again.
Who's that? They groomed Goodell for 30 years.
I don't know.
The guy that I think would be compelling, and it's a name that most people don't even know, Joe Lascesi, he's an attorney in New York City. He's done a lot of work for the league. Very well liked, very well respected. Could see that being a guy. Do you know him?
No, I don't. I have to admit, that's not a name that I know.
So,
yeah. Shefty's still with us. All right, I got a few questions for you.
Yes.
In the context of the rest of this show.
Yeah, meaning the lifetime of the show. Not the rest of the show today, the lifetime of the show, the 7 days that remain.
I want to put deadlines to 3 questions based on the fact that our show ends next Friday.
Yes.
The end of Mike and Mike is next Friday.
November 17th.
By the time this show ends next Friday, will Roger Goodell have a new contract?
I would say yes.
By the time the show ends next Friday, will we know for certain if Zeke Elliott is playing the rest of the season or will be suspended?
Not certainly, but I would say we would expect him to play the season or sit out the 6 games, yes. So yes and yes.
Okay.
For the first 2.
By the end of this show next Friday, will there be a coach in the NFL that's fired?
I would say no.
Okay.
No.
I'm done.
Usually you get that stuff.
I didn't think so
right
either.
After Thanksgiving.
I'm kind of basing
starts the clock on guys. Although I'll say this. After some of these losses, you can start to feel things.
Yeah.
You can just sense that winds of change are blowing in. And
Giants.
Listen, all the teams that you would expect. Right? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Yesterday there was some guy on Twitter put out a story that Ben McAdoo had been fired. And so you're like, what? And so you reach out to a few people at the Giants, and they're like, absolutely, unequivocally, no. And so, but again, we're into the time of the year where that's the kind of thing that can happen. But I still think we're a
little ways away. I thought so as well. But
I think you and Greeny will be able to get off the air without
a coach
further,
being fired.
Yes,
okay.
I think so. I think, but I wouldn't swear to it.
So there's that. Let's get on some of the on-the-field stuff here because we got a couple of different things to deal with. What are we doing with the Minnesota quarterbacks? Where do we stand with all of that?
Look, right now it's Case Keenum's job, and as long as he plays well and they're winning, I think that they continue to play with him. Now, the question becomes if they hit any sort of offensive slump, if he's struggling, they've got Teddy Bridgewater to turn to. I still don't know that he's fully physically ready to go play right now, but he's not far away at all, and I think the sense is at some point this season, they're going to turn to him, and he's going to start some football games, but they're not in any great rush to go do that right now, not with the way Case Keenum has played, which has been pretty good.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And when you have an excellent defense, that certainly can help that along. In Indianapolis, the reports now of what Irsay had said about it's in the mind of Andrew Luck, and should Andrew Luck want to get out of there? People saying, his representatives should try and get him out of there. Do you think that could happen? Could it happen? I mean, could they force their way? I mean, I don't
see that. I just don't see that right now. Look, again, to Tony Dungy's comments, which he said were what Jim Irsay said publicly. That is what Jim Irsay said publicly. And if you were Andrew Luck, and you played the last couple of years with an injury that required the extensive shoulder surgery that he underwent in January, you also would be a little bit gun-shy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a terrible analogy, but I had arthroscopic knee surgery a year ago, and for months, I anytime I felt a little twinge, you're like, what's going on in my knee? That was me for a few months with a minor little knee deal. This is Andrew Luck with the most important part of his body, and he played with it for 2 years, bothering him, and has a torn labrum, and it undergoes major surgery in January. Of course that's going to be on his mind. Why would it not be when he went out there and risked that body part for 2 full seasons?
So we'll see. I think that at this point it also feels like there's some question as to just how healthy he's going to get and how soon, which might make all of that irrelevant in the first place, but we certainly can hope not for his sake. And then the final one is Josh Gordon coming back. Mm-hmm. What is it that we think is a realistic expectation there? The story with him was fascinating and disturbing, where he said that he used some sort of substance, be it alcohol or weed, before every game he had ever played in and all of that. He now pronounces himself clean and ready to go. When healthy and when together, this guy was the most productive receiver in the entire National Football League, playing on bad teams with bad quarterbacks. So what do you think they expect from him?
He's done the unthinkable, so I guess you could never say he can't do something. But it's hard to imagine he's going to come back this year after being out of football for 2 years and just have that kind of impact. Now, if he can, man, that would be impressive, and I'd love to see it because I'm rooting for the guy. But I don't think you could be away that long, take that much time off, and step back in, especially in this offense, and be that kind of receiver. Now, my own sense is that I think that they would hope that he would come back be productive, and that in the offseason they could look to trade him and get something back from
It
him.
would be nice to see, just from his standpoint, him getting his life in order and going through an offseason where he actually could be with a team, whether it's there or he gets traded, and go through the OTAs and be with the team and start a whole season up. But we have to wait and see.
I don't know him at all, but I remember Dino Babers, who was his receivers coach,
Yeah.
I believe, in college, sat here, right where Schefter is sitting now, and told us that Josh Gordon babysat his kids.
Yep.
He loved him and cared about him and thinks he's that good a person. And a lot of people say that. He's just a person with a problem. And I hope, that he has overcome it, because he is a tremendously talented
Everybody's
player.
rooting for him, but we'll see if he can do it.
Schefter, you're the best. We'll see you next week.
Hey, let's
Actually,
look to
come
the
back
last
and watch the
appearance.
challenge.
Oh, boy.
The chip challenge.
The chip challenge of the next hour. Don't miss it. Mike and Mike.